Viking Theatre Company presents A Man of Mystery by Orson Welles.
Man of Mystery, a radio play by Orson Welles. First broadcast on the lives of Harry Lime on April 11, 1952. The Lives of Harry Lime, the fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
That was the shot that killed Harry Lime. He died in the sewer beneath Vienna, as those of you know who saw the movie The Third Man. Yes, that was the end of Harry Lime, but it was not the beginning. Harry Lime had many lives, and I can recount all of them. How do I know? Very simple. Because my name is Harry Lime. One late afternoon a couple of years ago, a plane was sighted about 70 miles out of the Orly airport in Paris. It was a private plane, medium size, and nobody was in it. Nobody at all. The plane, keeping its course steadily towards Paris, was flying itself. Why was it empty? Who had been flying it? And why and in what circumstances had they left it? Well, thereby hangs the tale.
Monsieur Gregory Arkadian calling, Monsieur Harry Lime.
Yes, Harry Lime speaking.
One moment, please.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. This is Gregory Arkadian.
Yes?
I'm at the Hotel de Cap in Antibes. Come and see me tonight. I have a job for you.
Well, I'm in Vienna and there isn't a plane out of here until Saturday.
I am sending you mine.
Your what?
My private plane. This is Arkadian speaking.
Oh.
Gregory Arkadian. You know who that is?
Yes, I think so.
You think you know who is Gregory Arkadian? My friend, that's a wonderful answer. More wonderful than you guess. I see you soon, Mr. Lime, yes? After dinner tonight.
Hello? Hello? Oh, damn. And sure enough, just as the great Mr. Arkadian had willed it, there I was on that famous plane of his. And promptly after dinner, there I was at the Hotel de Cap, Antibes, which is in the south of France. Science is wonderful, and so is money.
You're waiting to see my father?
Well, is your father Gregory Arkadian?
Yes.
Well, that's who I'm waiting for.
Mr. Lime, I am completely in my father's confidence. We are extremely close. He tells me everything, but he hasn't said a word about you. What is your business?
Oh, I dabble, Miss Arkadian. I dabble in a variety of sordid things.
I see.
If
you'll sit down, I'll tell my father you're waiting.
I sat down like a good little boy on the edge of the chair. I lit a cigarette and crossed my legs and tried not to look impressed about the fact that I was going to meet Gregory Arkadian, but it wasn't any use. I wouldn't even believe myself.
Here he is, Father.
Go in and amuse our guests, Raina. You are Mr. Lime, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
I've heard many things about you, Mr. Lime.
I've heard many things about you, Mr. Arkadian.
What exactly have you heard about me? Go on, I have my reasons for asking.
Well, everybody knows you're one of the richest men in Europe, Mr. Arkadian. You're supposed to have big interest all the way from Denmark to the Belgian Congo. And for one thing, you've never been photographed.
I don't like to be photographed, Mr. Lime.
Well, that's okay with me, Mr. Arkadian.
I think you're starting to make fun of me.
No, I'm waiting for you to start making some sense, Mr. Arkadian.
You are a crook, Mr. Lime, but I see you are a tough crook, not a little sneak thief. Tell me, did you ever hear of something called an intelligence check?
Intelligence check. Yes, I think so. Doesn't that mean some sort of check by an intelligence service in the army or something on a man's past? Isn't that what it is?
Some sort of. No, it is not some sort of checkup. It is how you say the full treatment, the works.
Ah, yes.
They are very thorough, these army people from the intelligence service. They turn up the carpets. They look under the wallpaper.
Which army is this, Mr. Arkadian?
Your army, of course. Who else is planning those air bases in Portugal?
Oh, really, old man? I wouldn't know.
It's an Allied operation, but the U.S. Army must approve all contracts, and I understand, Mr. Lime, that all bids are examined not only on their own merits, but also on the merits of a man's record in the past. That is their famous intelligence check.
Okay. Now you're beginning to make a little sense. You want the contract for building these bases, and you're afraid of an investigation. So you want to hire me to help you cover up a few items that might not show up so nicely on your private file. But if you...
Are you telling me or asking me, Mr. Lime?
I'm guessing.
Well, guess again.
No, let's play something else. How about Parcheesi or Lotto?
I'm not playing games, Lime. I'm hiring you for a job of which...
A minute ago, Arkadian, you called me a crook. It's a cinch you've got a touch of larceny on the brain, or you wouldn't have called me in. What's the offer?
$10,000.
Tax-free, old man?
You can have it in gold, in Liechtenstein.
Well, that's a nice offer. I have to know who it is you want killed before I give you my final reply.
You are to kill nobody. You are to cover up nothing. You are to perform no illegal act whatever. No, Mr. Lime, I'm not hiring your so easily adjustable conscience. I am buying your knowledge of the continental underworld, and that is all. I want you to make an investigation and prepare me a report.
What do you want to know about?
I want to know about me.
You?
Yes. It is on the subject of me. I want you to make that report, Mr. Lime. I want you to investigate me.
Well, okay, Mr. Arkadian. Just what is it you're afraid they'll find out?
I swear, Mr. Lime, I wish I knew.
Well, there must be something, or you wouldn't be so worried. And I guess you figure if I can't smoke it out, the FBI isn't likely to either. But still,
Let me tell you a poetic little story.
Okay, old man, if you insist.
It is the winter of 27.
Oh, really?
I am a young man, and the city is Lucerne in Switzerland. I have only the suit I was wearing and a wallet with 200,000 francs. Swiss francs. It was with that money that my present great fortune was built.
Yes, well.
The stages, Mr. Lime. The stages by which I erected myself into the position of one of the richest men in the world may be traced. They call me a man of mystery in the newspapers, but really all of that story can be pieced together and checked.
Yes, I'm sure, but
But Mr. Lime, what happened before the winter of 27?
Well, that's for you to say, isn't?
Where did I come from in my one suit? Who was my family? That's my real secret, Mr. Lime. I don't know who I am.
So that was my assignment. Tell Mr. Arkadian who he was. Yes, old Doc Harry Lime was supposed to cure a slight case of amnesia, which only has been pestering the patient for the last 20 years. Right away I could see that this little caper wasn't going to be any kind of a cinch. Oh, there was plenty of cash, you know. Unlimited traveling, expenses, and all of that. But as far as a cue or a clue to the facts about his own distant, mysterious past, Gregory Arkadian was just about as helpful and as chatty as a clam. Now look, Mr. Arkadian.
Arkadian.
Okay, Arkadian. You can pronounce your name any way you want to, but hey, wait a minute. How do you know it's Arkadian?
I know my own name.
Who says so?
I say so.
And who are you?
That's what I'm paying you to find out, Mr. Lime.
Exactly. So what makes you so sure about your name? Maybe it's really the name of a town or a candy bar you happen to be eating. Maybe it's the name of the man you murdered.
You think that's how I got the money, Mr. Lime? By committing a murder?
Mr. Arkadian, I don't know how you began, but I know the best way to begin finding out.
How's that?
Well, isn't it obvious, old man? By assuming the worst.
Antibes, Monsieur Gregory Arkadian calling for Monsieur Lime, Monsieur Harry Lime?
Mr. Lime.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Lime, what have you found out?
Hello, Arkadian. How did you find out I was in Zurich?
I have an office in Zurich. Well?
Well, what?
You heard me. What have you found out? Who was I? Where did I come from? What?
You came from Warsaw.
What's that?
I said you came from Warsaw. That's in 27. I'm not sure where you came from originally, but your tailor thinks that...
My what?
Your tailor. The one who made your clothes when you first came to Zurich.
He's dead.
The one who owned the shop, not the cutter. You probably never noticed him, but he remembers you. And what's more, he remembers the label in the first coat you were wearing.
What label? What did it say?
Well, he doesn't know. All he remembers is that the coat was made in Warsaw.
That's not much.
No, it's not much, but it's something.
Well, what are you going to do now? You can't get a visa for Poland.
No, but an awful lot of Poles left home since 27.
You mean refugees?
Well, that's right.
But they went everywhere, all over the place.
That's right.
Well, where are you going now?
Well, I'm going to look up a few Poles.
But where?
Just what you said, Mr. Arkadian. Everywhere. All over the place. And now, here I am in Paris, in Maxime's. I'll spare you all the sordid details. What matters now is that my dinner companion is a vendeur and a courtier, which means that her profession is helping Jacques sell all of those dresses of his. She is Polish, this dinner companion of mine, a refugee. And this is partly because I am closing in on that section of the population. And she is also a very classy dish indeed, of that section I'm closing in on. The name is Baroness Nagel, and by this time we are leaning across the empty coffee cups, making eyes at each other.
I'm enjoying myself, you know. I didn't think I would.
Go ahead, go ahead. Enjoy yourself all you want to. I'm on an expense account. Do you mind if I ask you a rather personal question?
No, I don't think so.
I'd like you to tell me something about the criminal underworld of Warsaw.
For a couple of years, Mr. Lime, and only because my family needed the money very much.
I understand how that is.
I was attached to the Warsaw police.
The police?
I think I was helpful, but the truth is I was only used on one case as a sort of wooden duck, a decoy. There were several of us, all working to break up a gang of a certain criminal called Sophie.
Sophie, huh?
It was all frightfully sordid.
Yes, I imagine.
One didn't approve, but still one was glad to actually be useful in breaking it up. 'Twas a pity the leader was never caught.
So the leader Sophie got away. What was her full name, Sophie?
Does it really matter?
Well, it might, yes, quite a lot.
She's been married since.
Well, do you know the man's name?
I will look it up for you. Apparently she's very respectable now and has nothing to fear.
I hear they are very strict about people with criminal records in Argentina.
Ah, yes, not Argentina.
No?
Not Brazil, Mr. Lime.
No?
And do not imagine you can trap me so easily.
You know what? I bet you a couple $100 I can trap you, Baroness.
Let's make it 500. That's more sporting.
500. 300. That's sporting enough. I'll write the address of this lady Sophie on the back of this menu, and you...
Yes.
Write your version of it on yours.
Okay.
Well, I've written my guess. Smith. I don't suppose it's right. Let's see how I did. Smith. Well, show me what you wrote.
I would like to see first all of the stakes.
All right. 1, 2, 300. And now let's see what you wrote. Thanks. Senora Carla Martini, number 77, Avenue Robotard, Havana, Cuba. Well, you win, Baroness. I didn't come within a mile of it. The next day I was on my way to Cuba, and a little time after that I was in my room in a hotel in Havana. It was after midnight. Yes?
Just a minute, hold on. There's an Arkadian calling.
Arkadian? Okay. Hello?
How are you coming, Lime?
Fine, it couldn't be better, Mr. Arkadian. I got the goods on you.
What?
Well, the dirt, all of it. That's what you wanted, wasn't it?
What do you mean, dirt?
Well, I know all about before 27.
What?
Before 1927. I know what you were up to in Warsaw.
In Warsaw? I'm coming down. What's your room number?
Maybe you didn't understand. I'm in Havana.
So am I.
I said Havana.
I heard you. What's your number?
208.
I'll be right down. Hello, Lime.
Well, Mr. Arkadian, this is a coincidence. What are you doing in Havana, Mr. Arkadian?
I had some business to attend to. What's your news?
I'm just writing out a full report, but if you like, I can boil it down to the essentials.
Boil it down.
Sophie Wachinski is living. She married money. Married bigamously, and her real husband, a character known as Oscar, is blackmailing her.
What of it?
Oscar's a hophead. He takes heroin in large doses.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, I managed to lock Oscar away for a few days in a shack outside of town. I didn't give him any junk, and after a while he started talking. He talked quite a lot, Mr. Arkadian. It's all going down in the report.
Never mind the report. What did he say?
Okay, I'll give it to you since you're asking. There were 7 members operating in a gang headed in Warsaw, headed by Sophie Wachinski. 3 of them are dead. 2, Andre Block and Jacob Asharis, are behind the Iron Curtain. Oscar, I've told you about. Well, that leaves one more. His name was Akim Atabazi, and in 1927, Atabazi absconded with some of the loot of the gang, and the gang never found him. But I have another source, and I'll tell you about that later. But I managed to trace Mr. Atabazi to Zurich, where he changed his name. Does that mean anything to you?
Why should it?
Well, supposing I should tell you that the name he took was Arkadian. Gregory Arkadian.
You'd have to prove it.
I can.
You're positive?
Positive.
You spoke of sources. Who are they?
Well, it's very involved, Mr. Arkadian. I'm tired. I'd rather put the whole thing down in an orderly way in my report.
And when will that be?
Well, I'm leaving Cuba tomorrow, and then I'll have all the facts assembled in Paris, and I'll put it down by the end of the week and give it to you.
I see. I hope you are mistaken, Mr. Lime. It would be a terrible thing if what you tell me is true.
I'm not mistaken.
Well, whatever happens, say nothing of this to my daughter. Absolutely nothing. Do I have your word on that?
Of course.
I wonder if you could possibly guess what an awful thing it is to have only a conscience. A conscience. And no memory at all.
Two days later, I was in France. Raina phoned me at my hotel, and I took her to dinner. She tried to draw me out, but I wasn't having any of that. I had given Arkadian a promise, and no matter what he had been, or what I was, that was one promise that was going to be kept.
I wish you weren't so mysterious about everything, Harry. You see, I know about airports. There's to be 3 of them in Portugal. It means a great deal of money for whoever gets a contract.
Yes, that's where the intelligence check business comes in. You know, I don't even think he knows what an intelligence check is.
He's heard people talking about it. You know, army people and others.
Yeah?
And it worries him. Remember, he's a Russian.
Yes?
And that means he grew up with an almost superstitious fear of all secret police.
Hey, just a second. How do you know he's Russian?
Well, I am his daughter.
Yes, but he doesn't know himself where he was born. What are you laughing at?
Is that what he told you? That he didn't know where he was born?
You mean he was lying?
Oh, we can't help it, Harry. He lies to everybody. It's his nature.
Well, what about this amnesia?
What amnesia?
Well, in 1927, your father found himself in Zurich with his pockets full of money and no memory at all. He didn't know where he came from or who he was or where he got the money or... Hey, wait a minute. You mean the whole thing was a lie?
I've never heard of amnesia lasting that long. More than 20 years? It makes sense in cheap books and bad movies. Oh, Harry, you should have known better than believe that one.
So he'd been lying all the time. He knew his past as well as I knew my own. Well, just as I was absorbing that, the news came from Cuba. A friend in Havana sent it to me. A clipping from one of the newspapers. Said he thought I'd be interested. Well, I was. It seems that Senor Oskar Trebich and Senora Martini, formerly Sophie Wachinski of Poland, had been found together in a ditch in a suburb of Havana. Both were dead. They had been strangled. Yes?
I've managed to trace Mr. Arkadian for you, Mr. Lime. He's at the airport. Just a minute. I'll put you through.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Lime.
Yes, this is Harry Lime speaking.
Make it quick, Lime. Traffic's just cleared. I'm flying my own plane, and I don't take off right away. I won't get into Paris before dark. What do you want?
Well, they found Sophie and Oscar.
What's that?
Oscar, Mr. Arkadian. Oscar and Sophie. Remember Sophie? She used to be your girlfriend back in Warsaw when you were working for her as a white slaver and dope smuggler. Oscar was her husband. They were found dead in a ditch, Mr. Arkadian. In a ditch near Havana. They'd been strangled.
What about it?
Well, I know why you did it.
Lime, listen to me. I'm paying you money. Big money. I'll even raise the sum. I'll see you in Paris.
No, I'd rather not see you, Mr. Arkadian. I'd rather not be strangled and left in a ditch.
Well then, what do you propose?
Well, I propose to tell your story, Mr. Arkadian. The whole story. Remember, I have the proof.
We'll see about your proofs. I'm an important man, Lime, and not a little crook like you. Nobody will believe you.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Arkadian. I'm really very sorry. But I've already found somebody who does believe me.
Who? Who believes you? Nobody that matters. You forget who I am.
You're the father of Raina, Mr. Arkadian. I told you I was sorry, but I had to save my life.
You mean you told Raina?
Yes, Mr. Arkadian.
And she believed you?
Everything. Everything except the murder of Sophie and Oscar. She thinks it may not have been you who did that. And of course I can't prove that it was. But if I should be killed now, Mr. Arkadian, that would be proof enough, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, Mr. Arkadian?
And now, Harry Lime.
So that's how the plane happened to be empty. Arkadian must have set the controls before he jumped out. But why? Why did he jump instead of crashing? I think because he wanted Raina to know it wasn't accidental. Because he wanted her to realize that rather than face her, knowing she knew about him, he preferred to die. Well, of course, that's only a theory. There wasn't any note in the plane, just the portfolio. The famous dispatch case he always traveled with, filled with all the great affairs of the world. No, we can only guess. Gregory Arkadian remained, even to the last, a man of mystery.